Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. So it's our day 4 of our SQL program. So in today's session, we are going to understand two different topics. One is clauses and the other one is constraints. Right? So before understanding clauses and constraints, we'll quickly recap what we have covered so far. We started understanding what is SQL structured query language and the purpose of learning SQL, right? SQL is a query language which helps us to communicate with any database, any relational database. Then, what is a database? Database is nothing but it's a container. It's a container in which it helps us to store the data, right? Next to understanding the basic concepts, we have understood SQL fundamental topics like commands. What are the 5 different languages that we have in SQL? DDL, DML, DQL, TCL and DCL. Right? We understood the purpose of each and every language and the commands present in each and every language. Then next to commands, what did we discuss? We understood data types, the numeric data types, string data types, nothing but character data types. Then date and time related data types. And we also have other data types like bit, then boolean. Next to data types, we discussed operators. Yes. So operators are nothing but symbols. There are some symbols which help us to do some operations. And what are the different types of operators we have learned? Arithmetic operators, comparison operators, logical operators. Then we also understood special operators like between, like, then in, is null, is not null. All of these are some special operators we have discussed. Now, in today's class, we are going to learn two new concepts. They are clauses and constraints. These two topics are very important. They are considered to be very essential topics of SQL, guys. So pay attention. I'll be explaining each and every clause followed by constraint present, okay, with some examples, right? So what are clauses? First of all, let us understand what are clauses. What are these clauses? Clauses are, a kind of components that we add to our SQL queries. We mention as part of our SQL queries and they help us to filter the data. We can filter the data, sort the data, group the data and limit the data as well. Okay, they are part of our SQL query. Within the SQL query, we are going to have these clauses, guys. Okay, but why should we use clause? They actually help us to filter, sort, group and limit the data as well. Okay, in order to filter the data, you go and use a clause. Or if you want to sort the data, ascending order or descending order, why don't we use a clause? Right? So in order to do these operations, we have to go with clauses. And there are multiple clauses in SQL and all of them are very easy. Okay, if you understand, it's very easy, guys. Trust me, clauses is very easy topic and important topic in SQL. So let us start with the hands-on directly. What are we doing in the first query? What is this? Which command is this? I have launched MySQL Workbench on the other side. Let me zoom in a bit. Yes. What are we doing? I'm going to create a database. I'm directly going to create a database using create command. Create command is part of which language? And I want everyone to interact with me. Okay, don't sit idle. If you sit idle, you are going to gain nothing. Right? Yes. Come on, guys. Create command is part of which language? It is part of DDL. In DDL, data definition language, we have commands like create, alter, truncate, and drop. So I'm using create command and I'm going to create a database. What is the syntax for creating a database? The syntax is create database name. Create database name. So this will actually create the database called store underscore inventory. This is going to create a database name store underscore inventory. So let us do it. Is it done? Yes, it is done. I'll refresh the schemas and if you observe, yes, I have store underscore inventory database created. Right? Now, next after creating this database, let us go and use it. In order to use the database, what is the command? The command is simple. Use database name. The command is use database name. When you say use database name, this will actually, this is going to use store underscore inventory database. So let me execute line number 3. You see, immediately store underscore inventory database got highlighted. Right? Then next after this particular query, let us go and create some tables. What am I doing here? I'm going to create some tables. Okay. By looking at this query, can you tell me what is the table name? What is the table name that we are going to create? It is products. What is the syntax for creating a table? Create table name, which is nothing but products here, right? So we are going to create a table called products in which we have multiple columns. What are the different columns that we have here? Product ID, then product name, category, price, quantity, and added date. So for all these columns, it is also mandatory that you have to come up with the data type, the schema. Yes, we have defined the schema, the data type, int, varchar 100, varchar of 50, decimal of 10 comma 2, which means it allows us to store floating numbers, decimal values. Then int and date. Date data type allows us to store only date. What will be the format for date? Year, month, and day. Right. Let me create the table called products. I'll select the complete query. I'll execute. I'll execute. When I execute this query, let us go and check whether the table called products created or not. Yes, products table got created. Products table got created. Now, let us also insert some records into this table products. Okay, for that I am going to use DML command insert. What is the command that we are going to use? Insert command. Insert command is part of which language, guys? DML, data manipulation language. So I'm just using the insert command. The syntax for insert command is insert into table name followed by, columns. We have specified some columns, the fields into which these records will go and get inserted. Why didn't we specify all the columns? We have skipped one of the column. What is the column that we skipped? It is nothing but product ID. Why did we skip product ID is we have used an constraint called auto increment. What does this auto increment does? Auto increment by default it starts with the number 1 and whenever you are trying to insert the values for this particular column, the values will be incremented by 1. That will be done automatically. Who is going to do it? Auto increment will do it, guys. Okay. So by default, by 1 the increment will be done and it also starts with 1. Okay. So that is the reason we did not include product ID and the values for product ID. Okay. For the first row, it inserts 1. For second row, it inserts 2. For third row, it inserts 3. So on. Clear? Yes. Now, let us go and insert the records. I'll insert the records. Done. Inserting done. Let us quickly check whether we have the data inside the table or not. Yes. All the records that we have specified, starting from the product name till the added date, all the records got inserted. If you observe for product ID, these numbers are generated by auto increment constraint. It is generated by auto increment constraint. Right? Yes. So let me go back. Then next to insert command, what is the command that we have? We have DQL command. What does DQL command does? Data query language command select helps us to fetch the data, retrieve the data. Okay. So what is the syntax for select command? It is select star from table name. When you say star, it means this will fetch the complete data within the table products. Okay. So let me execute this. Done. You see all the records getting fetched? Yes. Why? It is because of star. Okay, this asterisk mark represents all records. The entire table. Clear, guys? Yes. Now, let us start with the first clause because all these topics are not new for us. Creating a table, creating a database, inserting the records, fetching the records, nothing but the rows. All of these syntaxes, all of these queries are not new for us. Let us start with the first clause. It is where clause. What does where clause does? Where clause help us to filter the data. Where clause help us to filter the records, the data. And where do you generally use where clause? We use where clause within the select query, select command or update command, delete command, as well as you can also use where clause in other SQL commands, queries. Okay, so I hope you remember using where clause in delete query. In delete command, we have used where clause. Even in select command also we have done it yesterday. Okay, let us do it. Let us take more examples in which we introduce this where clause and try to understand how where clause is going to filter the records. Okay, so in simple, where clause helps us to filter the data. When you want to filter the records, you go and use where clause, right? Yes. So here is a first example for where clause. Let's see what we are doing. I have used where clause within the select statement. What is the statement that we have kept? Select star from products. That means we want the entire data, all records. But there is a condition. How did I specify the condition? Using where clause. So this where clause help us to filter the data. How you are filtering the data? By providing a condition inside where clause. What is a condition? Only if the price of the products is greater than 500, display the information of those products is what you are telling within the where clause. Okay, so this will return us the details of the products whose price is greater than 500. Okay, so let me do it, guys. I'll execute. Have a look on the output. See, how many products we have? 10. How many of them were retrieved? 4. Why only 4? Because of where clause. Price is greater than 500? Yes. In all these cases, the price is greater than 500. Accepted or not? So that is where, where clause comes into the picture. The purpose of where clause is to filter the records, to filter the data. Right? Then, next to the first example, here we have one more example. Let us understand it. I want you guys to respond. Don't sit idle. Understand the query. Immediately you have to give your response. What did you understand? Just keep in the chat. So what makes the difference again? It is a select query. Okay. What you want? I want the entire data. In general, I have specified it as star, which means to fetch the whole records. But I have used where clause. This where clause help us to filter the records. Okay. What are the conditions that we have specified? If the category is electronics, the category of the product is electronics, and what is and? What is and? And is a logical operator. Okay. And quantity greater than 20. If the quantity of the products is greater than 20, okay, then only such kind of products have to be retrieved. Since I'm using AND operator between the conditions, AND operator will return true in case where both the conditions are satisfied. That means the category of the product should be electronics and the quantity should be greater than 20. Simple? Yes. Let me execute. How many such kind of products we have? Only two. What are they? Smartphone and wireless headphones. Is the category electronics? Yes. For both the products, the category is electronics. What about quantity? Is it greater than 20? Yes, it is. It is greater than 20, 25 and 30. Okay. So this is how where clause help us to filter the records. Clear? Yes. Let's go to the next example. This time I want you guys to respond. What are we doing, guys? I'm using select command. Yes. But I have also specified it as where condition. I mean, I'm using where clause with a condition. What is the condition that we have specified? I have used between operator. If the price is between 100 and 500, only those product details have to be retrieved. So let's see how many such products we have. There are 5 products where the price of these 5 products are between 100 and 500. Done. So where clause is helping us to filter the records. The records are getting filtered. Then, so that means whatever we have learned yesterday in the last topic, okay, that is operators. You are observing all the operators again? Yes. I'm using where clause. Within the where clause, I'm using the operators. Okay. So again, here is a where clause included in the select statement. And what is the condition that we have within the where clause? Category in electronics and appliances. So that means products part of electronics and appliances should be fetched. That's it. If the product belongs to any other category apart from electronics and appliances, those will be ignored. Those products will be ignored. Done. Then, last example in case of where clause. Okay. I want you to respond for this. What are we doing here, guys? What are we doing in line number 35? I'm using select statement in which where clause is being used. Okay. Within the where clause, I have used like operator. What is the purpose of like operator? Like operator helps us for pattern matching. Okay. When you want to go with some pattern matching, you should use like operator. Okay. What is the pattern that we have specified? W. The product name should start with W followed by percentage symbol. What does percentage symbol represent? Percentage symbol represents any number of characters. That means product name should start with W and next to W you can have any number of characters. Right? So let me execute this. Wherever the pattern is matching, you will have those products returned as output. See, in case of wireless headphones, is the pattern getting matched? Yes, it is. Wireless headphones starts with W and next to W you see n number of characters which is matched by percentage. Clear? So this is how where clause help us to filter the records. The records gets filtered. The data gets filtered. Right? Next to where we have order by. The next clause that we have is order by clause. So what is the purpose of order by clause? Order by. The name itself, is giving us some meaning. Order by clause help us to sort the records, sort the data, sort the values. In which order it is? It is either ascending or descending. Your wish. Either if you want to sort the data in ascending order or descending order, your wish. And if you don't mention the sorting type, either in ascending or descending, by default the sorting will be done in ascending order. By default, the sorting will be done in ascending order. What does ascending order means? From small till big. Descending order means from big to small. Right? So in short, order by clause help us to sort the values. For sorting the data, we use order by. By default, it sorts the values in ascending order, small to big. So let us take some examples for order by. Yes. So try to understand, guys. What are we doing? I have included order by in select statement. Okay. So select star from products. It will fetch the entire data. Okay. So all the records will be fetched when we go with select star from table name. Then additionally, we have also included order by price. That means based on this price column, price column values, the value should be ordered in ascending order. By default, the order by will be done in, it sorts the values in ascending order. Okay. So based on the price value, price column values from small to big, the records will be fetched. The records will be returned. See, is this the price column? Yes. You see, is it sorted in ascending order? Yes, from small to big. That is where you see the records got jumbled. Why they got jumbled? Because we have the output ordered based on price column. Ordered based on price column. Making sense? Yes. Now, let us take one more example for order by. What if I want the values to be ordered in descending order? If you don't mention, by default it goes for ascending. Right? What if I want the output to be ordered in descending order? If you want to go for the sorting in descending order, you have to specify the keyword DESC. DESC has to be specified. Okay. So what does this mean? It means to order the values, to sort the values of added date column in descending order from big to small. Let me do it. Added date. Is this the column? Yes. So this column values has to be sorted in descending order. Are they sorted in descending order? Yes. All of them, they belong to 2023, but month is different. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so they got arranged, they got sorted in descending order. But who have done it? It is because of order by clause. Order by clause help us for sorting the data. Okay. Can we sort the data based on two different columns? Yes, it is. It is possible. What am I doing here? I'm sorting the data based on two different columns. First preference will be given for category. Then, if there is any tie, okay, between the records, then the preference goes for price. Okay, we know that all these products, they belong to three different categories: electronics, appliances, and the other one is furniture, right? So if there is a tie between the products, I mean, if there is a tie between the category of the products, then it goes to the next column. What is the next column? It is price. Based on price value. Okay, if the price value is small, as we want to order them in ascending order, ASC represents ascending order. Okay, so it considers price column as the second priority for sorting the records. So let me do it. See, out of appliances, electronics and furnitures, which comes first? Appliances? Yes. Again, out of three products under appliances, where do you see the least price? Blender? Yes. Then microwave and finally refrigerator. Okay, so that is where, when there is a tie between the products, the category of the products, then price column comes into the picture. The second priority will be given for price. Right. So that means not only based, you can sort the data on one column, you can sort the data, the values on multiple columns. You can specify the order as well, either ascending or descending. Yes. One more example. Now this time it's your turn. What are we doing in line number 43? Yes, we are going to sort the data. Why? It is order by clause. Good. Next to it, which column will be used for sorting? The first column that will be given preference is category column. Category column. In which order? Descending order. Then, what is the next column that will be given preference? It is quantity. For quantity also, I have to sort the data in descending order only. Okay, DESC represents descending order. ASC represents ascending order. Okay, so let me execute. Furniture comes first. Why? Descending order. Furniture, electronics, appliances. Then next to category, which column has to be given preference? Quantity. Within the furniture category products, desk, office chair and bookcase, where the quantity is very high, for which product? It is desk, 15, then office chair, then bookcase. So in this way, it helps us to sort the data based on multiple columns. You can use multiple columns for sorting the values, the data. Right. The last example, in case of order by, okay, can we sort the records, the data based on multiple columns? Yes, already we have tried the examples. While sorting, I want to change the order. In the sense, for one column, I would like to go with ascending order, and for the next column, I would like to go with descending order. Is that possible? Yes, it is possible, guys. For category column, it considers ascending order, small to big. For price column, it considers descending order, big to small. Okay. So even this is also possible, the jumbled way. See, for category, are the products categorized based on ascending order? Yes. If the products have same category, then price column comes into the picture. In case of price, it has to be ordered in descending order. Yes. And the appliances, refrigerator is the product with highest price, 1000. Then microwave, 300. Then blender, 80. So, either you specify go with the same order or different order, your wish. So, what is the purpose of order by? The purpose of order by clause is to sort the data. Okay, if you want to go and sort the data, just go with order by clause. Right. So here are some key important points. Default one is ascending order. Okay. So MySQL goes with ascending order. Okay. We are not sure about other RDBMS systems. As we are learning MySQL, MySQL treats ascending order as the default order in case of order by. And if you want to sort the data based on multiple columns, separate them with commas. Done. And you can also specify the column position. Okay. Based on the column position within the select statement, it helps us to sort the records, sort the data. Right. So the next clause that we have next to order by is group by, guys. Next to order by, we have group by. What does this group by clause does? What is the purpose of using this group by? Group by help us to group the records. When you want to group the records, go and use group by clause. Yes. Okay. So that is the purpose of group by clause. And always group by clause is often used with aggregation functions like count, sum, average, max, min, so on. There are multiple aggregation functions in SQL. Okay, some of the functions are here. So along with these aggregation functions, the group by clause is used. Let us try to understand group by taking some examples. So what are we doing in this example? Yes. What are we doing here, guys? Can someone try to understand? Select category, comma, count of star. Count is a aggregation function. We'll understand. Okay. As total products from products group by category. So I'll explain. See, this is select statement till here. Yes, till here it is nothing but select statement because select columns from table name. Yes. What is the clause that we are using? Group by. Okay. Group by on which column? On category column. So that means it takes category column from the table products and it uses the values that are present in this category column. Based on these values, it identifies groups. Under category, what are the three unique values that we have? Appliances, electronics, and furniture. So that means group by will create three different groups. Group 1, group 2, group 3. Three different groups. So all the records of appliances as one group, all the records of electronics as second group, and all the records of furniture as third group. Done. Now, what are we supposed to return? We have to return category, that means appliances, electronics, furniture. Three categories, right? So three categories will be written under category column. Next to category, what we have? Count of star. What does count of star does? Count function will actually count the number of records under each and every category. Under appliances, how many products we have will be counted by count star, count function. Okay, so it will return the count. It does the same for electronics and the same for furniture. And that column we are naming as total products. That column we are naming it as total products. So it will return category and total products as two different columns as output, in which the first column, category column, will have appliances, electronics, and furniture as the values, and under total products, it will return the number of products present in this table which fall under these three categories: appliances, electronics, and furniture. That's it. That is how you have to interpret this query. Okay, so let me execute this line number 47 and see what will be the output, guys. See, electronics 4, furniture 3, appliances 3. Did we get 10 products in total? Yes, 4 plus 3 plus 3. Okay, so that is the purpose of group by. Group by helps us to group the data. The records gets grouped when we use group by clause. Clear? Let us go to the next example. This time, you guys have to respond. Okay, it is a similar query. Whatever we have understood in the previous one, it is very similar to it, because I am performing group by on the same category column. On the same category column, we are going to perform the group by. And what we would like to fetch? The categories followed by the average of the price. So that means it takes all the products part of electronics. It calculates the average price of electronics product, and that average price will be written here. It does the same for rest of the two categories, furniture and appliances. See, these are the average prices for all the three different categories. You can go and do it. You can, sum up the values. You can find the average price of each and every category. You can cross check. Let me take furniture itself. What is the average price for furniture? 200. Let me go to the data. First of all, where do we have the furniture records? Here, 150, 200, and the third product here, 250. So 150 plus 250 is 400. 400 plus 200 is 600. 600 by 3, because 3 products, right? It is 200. So the average price for furniture should be 200. This is how it calculates the average. Who is doing this? Average function does these calculations in the backend. Okay, the average function will return the average value, sum of observations by number of observations. Clear? Yes. And one last example in case of group by. Again the same, but a question comes here. What is the difference between this query and the previous queries? I see two clauses being included in this query. If we observe, we have where clause and group by clause. Where clause and group by clause. That means initially the where clause will be executed. Then on the output of where clause, the group by will execute. So what is the purpose of where clause? The purpose of where clause is to filter the records. So wherever the price of the products is greater than 100, only those records will be filtered. Done. On the filtered records, on the filtered data, the group by clause will act and it groups the records based on category column. Okay. And what we are supposed to return? The category and the sum of quantity. I want the sum of quantity falling under each and every category. So this sum of quantity column, I want to name it as total quantity. Okay. So let me execute this. Done. You can go and cross check the results. It will be 74, 30 and 17. Like how we have cross check. In the same way, sum function will just sum up the values of quantity column. Clear? Done. So this is important because we have a combination of where clause and group by clause, both. What are the key important points that we have here? So, any column in the select list, okay, whatever the column that we have in the select list, select command list, if that is not part of the aggregation function, it must be included in the group by clause. So this is one of the tips that we generally tell, especially when you are going and using group by clause on any specific column. Ensure that column, see here I am performing group by on which column? Category. So this column should be added as part of select part, the select list. Okay. And the aggregation functions that we have used are count, sum, average and max, min. Count function will count the rows. Sum function will return the total sum. Average function will calculate the average value. Max function will return the maximum value in the group. Min function will return the minimum value in the group. Right? Now, next to group by, we have having clause. What is the purpose of having clause? The purpose of having clause is it helps us to filter the data, not the normal data guys, the group data. Okay. On the group data, if you want to perform any filter, if you want to filter the records on the group data, that can be done using having clause only. That can be done using having clause only. Why? We have also where clause, right? Where clause is also used to filter the records. If you want to filter the data, you can go and use where clause. But can't we use where clause on the group data? No. See, where clause cannot be used after group by. After performing grouping, you cannot go and use where clause. The only clause that can be used for filtering the data on the group data is having clause. But you can use where clause before group by. In the previous example, we used where clause initially, then we used group by clause. This is accepted. But after using group by, when you try to use where clause for filtering, it will throw you error. It will throw you error. So in order to filter the group data, we have having clause. Here are some examples. Let us understand them. What are we doing here? The first example of having clause? Yes. Let us try to understand. See, we are actually grouping the data based on category column. So initially the grouping will be done based on category column, and then I have having clause. What does this having clause does? It filters the group data. When you want to filter the group data, the only clause that you can go with is having. What is the condition that we have specified within the having clause? It is count of star greater than 2. If the number of records are greater than 2, only such kind of, categories should be displayed. That is what we are telling here. See, I would like to get under the select list, what are the columns that we have specified? Category and count star. Count star will return us what? The total number of rows. So this particular values should sit in this column. I'm giving an alias name for this column as total underscore products. So let me execute this. I'll get all the columns. Why? No, this is, yes. It should return as 433. Why? We know that there are 4 products under electronics, 3 under furniture, and 3 under appliances. Does all of these 3 are satisfying the condition in the having clause? Yes. Yes. So that is the reason where all of these 3 are given as output. Done. Then next to it, let us understand the next example, guys. The same queries, we are introducing them with having. See, if the condition here is average price, if it is greater than 500, only such kind of, categories and the average price has to be written. Let's see. So that means only for one category, electronics, the average price is greater than 500. What about the rest of the 2 categories? The average price is not greater than 500. Since the condition is not met, they got filtered, they got ignored. Making sense? Right. Let us have a combination of both. Let's see what happens when you go with the combination of both. Try to understand this query, guys. What are we doing here? A select query in which we have 3 different clauses. Initially, where clause, this is the condition says price greater than 100. So the records in which the price column, the values are greater than 100, they will be filtered. Then on the filtered data, the group by clause comes in and it groups the records based on category column. Based on the category column, the records will be grouped. And next to it, we have having clause in which the average price, if the average price is greater than 500, only then it is supposed to be, return the categories and their prices, average prices. Let's see. Oh, I see two categories, appliances and electronics. Why? Because of the first where clause, which is actually filtering the records based on this condition, price greater than 100. So this is one of the important question. The difference between where clause and having clause. What is the difference between where clause and having clause? Both of them are used for filtering. Yes, they are used for filtering the records. When you want to filter the data, we go and use having and where clause. But what is the main difference? Where clause filters the records before grouping. See, before grouping, I'm using where clause. Having clause filters after grouping. See, next after to grouping, if you want to filter the data, you can do it using having clause. Before grouping, if you would like to filter the data, you can go with where clause. So that is the difference between where and having clauses in SQL. Important question. Okay. If you would like to make a point, do it, guys. So this marks the end of having clause as well. Let us go to the next clause. It is limit clause. What is the next clause? Limit clause. What does limit clause does? Limit clause actually help us to restrict, limit the number of records returned. Within the query, you are fetching the records, the rows. Yes. So this limit clause help us to restrict the number of rows that will be returned. How? It is simple. You use the limit clause and set the number. When you say select star from products, the table name limit 5, this will actually return only the top 5 records, the first 5 records only. Why it is returning only first 5 records? That is because of limit clause. That is because of limit. You are saying limit 5. That means only the first 5 records will be returned. See? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay. So that is the purpose of limit clause. It helps us to restrict the number of rows or the number of records that will be returned. Fine. In the next example, try to understand what are we doing here. We are using order by clause. Yes, order by helps us to sort the data, sort the values. Order by which column values, price column values. Okay, in which order we would like to get the output? In descending order, from big to small. Would you like to get all the records? No. Limit 3. What does limit 3 means? Only the first 3 rows. So that means we'll get the information of the products which have highest price. The top 3 products with the highest price. See? 1000, 900 and 800. These are the 3 products with the highest price. Clear? Yes. This query, try to understand and give me the answer. What will be the output for line number 66? What are we doing in line number 66? We are using order by clause. On which column? Price column. So what is the order that we have specified? Ascending order. We specified ascending order, which means from small to big. Okay. When you say limit 4, this will return us only the first four values, the first four rows, right? See? So these are the four products with the lowest prices. Blender, wireless headphones, office chair and desk. Then, let me go with the other example. I'm using two different clauses here. One is where clause and the other one is limit clause. Okay. So within the where clause, what is the condition that we have specified? The category should be electronics. So that means only the electronics products will be filtered. First of all, done. Would you like to get all the electronics products? No. I want only the first two. Limit to means only the first two electronic products will be returned as output. See, is that clear? Then one more example. Here we have a combination of many clauses. Try to understand. What are we doing? Performing group by? Yes. On which column? Category column. So that means based on the category of the products, these products will be categorized into three because of group by clause. Then on the groups, three different groups, we are again filtering them. How? By having a having clause. What is the condition within the having clause says? If the total products are greater than 2, okay, if they are greater than 2, only then it has supposed to be written. We know that under each and every category, the total products are greater than 3. 3 and greater than 3. And would you like to get all these categories and their total products? No. Only the top 2. When you say limit 2, it will return only 2. See? Why it did not return appliances? Because the top 2 are electronics and furniture. Done. One last example in case of limit. What are we doing here, guys? Select distinct category from products. Limit 3. So, what is this distinct category? Distinct will return as different or the unique categories. Okay. How many categories we have? 3. And we have also used limit clause and we have set the limit to 3. So this will return us all the 3 categories. See why all of these 3 are distinct. Clear? Yes. So next to limit, we have offset. Okay. What does this offset clause does? This offset clause in MySQL, it is used in combination with the limit clause. Offset is always used as a combination with limit clause. And what is the purpose of offset is, it helps us to skip the number of rows. When you say offset 5, offset 2, what does it mean? It means to skip 2 rows based on the condition. Okay. From the starting, we are supposed to skip 2 rows. That is what offset clause does. See, here what we are trying to do, understand properly. Offset is always used with combination of limit. Yes. Limit 5 means the first 5 rows. Yes. But offset 5 means the first 5 rows should be skipped. So when you skip the first 5 rows, what do you have? You'll have the next 5 rows. So that will be written. Here, the output for line number 75 will be the rows from 6 to 10, not from 1 to 5. Why? The first 5 records will be skipped by offset clause. Limit 5 means it will restrict to 5 rows. Did we get 5 rows? Yes. But did we get first 5 rows or second 5 rows? That will be decided by offset clause. That will be decided by offset clause. Okay. Then, what is this? What is this? When you say select star from table name products, limit 10 comma 10. It means limit to 10 rows. Even though if you don't specify offset 10, even though if you don't specify offset, still it understands that 10 records should be skipped from the starting. That is what it means. So, always offset is used as a combination of limit. It is used in combination of limit. Okay, even though if you don't specify, it executes. See, it should return as an empty table. Why? We have 10 rows and all these 10 rows are getting skipped. When you skip all these 10 rows, what you will have? Nothing. Then next to it, one more example in case of offset. What are we doing here? I'm using order by clause. Yes. Order by helps us to sort the data. On which column? Price column. Okay. In which order? Descending order. That means from big to small. Right. Limit to how many rows? 5 rows. And offset 3 means the first 3 rows, the first 3 records have to be skipped. Right. So we are not going to get the top products, the products with highest prices. Right. Let me execute this. See. So these are the 5 rows. Did we get 5 rows? Yes. And it has also offsetted 3 rows. It has skipped the top 3 rows where the price of the products is very high. The refrigerator, and there are 2 more, right? So for these products, it got offsetted. Then one more example for offset. Try to understand it. What are we doing? I'm using the combination of where clause, limit clause, offset clause. Okay. In case of electronics category, when I say category is equals to electronics, it will filter the products only if the category is electronics. We have 4 such kind of products. And when I say limit 5, so that means all the 5 records, all the 4 records has to be returned, but offset 2. That means the first 2 records in the electronics category will be skipped. So how many records will be returned as output? Only 2. The rest of the 2 will be returned as output in electronics category. Right? Yes. And the last query, in case of offset, example, what are we doing here? I'm using group by. So this group by will group the records based on the category column. Then we have having clause for filtering the records based on the condition. What is the condition? If the total products are greater than 2, okay, in all these categories, the total products are greater than 2. Done. Limit 5. Okay, it has to limit to 5 records as output, offset 1, which means the first record should be skipped. So I'll get only 2 records as output, furniture and appliances. Why not electronics? Electronics get skipped because of this offset 1. Done? Yes. So here are some key points. Okay, when you are using with limit, offset is always used along with limit. Okay, either you keep your query in this way or this way, both are same. Limit 10, offset 10 or limit 10 comma 10, anything is accepted. Why? Offset is always used along with limit. Okay. So here is a query in which we have included all the clauses. Let us try to understand it. What are we doing? First of all, I used where clause and the condition is category is equals to electronics. So only the records in which the category is electronics, only those products will be filtered. Next to it, if it is going to order based on the price column, yes. In which order? Descending order from big to small. Okay. It has to limit to 2 records. Only 2 records should be given as output. And when we say offset 1, the first record will be skipped. In the output, the first record will be skipped. Right? So let me execute this query and see what will be the records. So we got only laptop and smartphone as output for this particular query. Clear? Yes. So this is how we have the concept of clauses used for filtering, sorting, then grouping, as well as limiting the records, skipping the records. So we have discussed all the required and the available clauses in SQL. Okay. Now let us go and understand the next topic. It is constraints. The next topic that we have is constraints. Constraints is a small topic, guys. Small topic in the sense we have some good amount of information in constraints. One of the important topic in SQL. Pay attention. What are constraints? Constraints are nothing but some rules. There are some rules on the columns. Okay. Based on these rules, they are going to allow the values within the columns. And these constraints help us to keep our data within the database accurate, consistent, and reliable. Okay, you can see the data consistently storing in each and every column. Because of what? Because of these constraints, these rules. We are going to add some rules on the columns, and because of these rules, you'll see the data sitting within the tables consistently. Okay, so what are the different types of constraints we have? We have primary key, foreign key, unique key, not null key, so on. Let us understand all of them one by one. I'll start with primary key. What is primary key? primary key is nothing but it is a constraint which we define on a column or a set of columns as well. We can define it on set of columns as well, which help us to uniquely identify each row in a table. So in short, primary key is a combination of unique and not null. That means all the values in this primary key column should be unique. Unique. And all the values within this column should be not null. They cannot be null. Okay. So primary key is a combination of unique and not null. And how many primary keys can we have within a table? Only one. Within one table, you can have only one primary key. And this primary key, you define it to a column where the value should be uniquely identified and they cannot be null. Yavish. Okay. So the best examples are employee ID. For each and every employee, we'll have different IDs or same IDs. Obviously, different. So, uniqueness, yes. And can we have an employee who does not have, can we have an employee who does not have employee ID? Impossible. So, they cannot be null. So, employee ID, student ID, all of these will be the best examples for defining your primary key. For defining your primary key. Keep this in mind. A table can have only one primary key, guys. Okay. So far in the previous examples, in the previous topics, we have used the primary key. What is this primary key? Primary key is a constraint. When you are defining primary key to a column, this column values cannot be null. And all these values should be uniquely identified. Right? So what is the syntax? The same syntax, you'll be defining the primary key by adding the constraint to the column. See, here is an example. Let us quickly execute this example, guys. What are we doing? I'm going to create a table called employees. Within this employees table, there are 4 different columns: employee ID, first name, last name, department. Okay. Tell me which column can have primary key. Can I keep primary key for first name? No. Why? First name can match. First name among the employees can match. So you cannot say all of the employees will have unique first name or unique last name. So I cannot define primary key for first name, last name and department as well, because within a department there will be n number of employees working. So employee ID is the only column to which we can go and define our primary key. So that is why I have defined primary key for employee ID, which means the values for employee ID column cannot be null and all of them should be unique. Let me execute this query. Done. I'll quickly refresh. Created. Employees table got created. Now, let me insert some records. Let me insert some records into this table employees. I'm using insert command. Yes. So what am I doing? I'm inserting records into the table employees. So will it execute or will it throw any error? It will execute. Why? Why it will not throw me any error? The reason behind it is for employee ID column, I am providing the unique values and all of them are not null. They are not null. So this will execute. This insert command will execute. Done. Let me fetch the records. Yes, it got inserted. All employee details got inserted. Then next to it, when you say describe table name, this is also one of the important query. When you say describe table name, this will give you the complete descriptive information about the table guys. See, what are the different fields? Nothing but the columns and their data types associated for each and every column, and null. Do they accept null values or not? Why it is no for employee ID? Because of primary key. Because of primary key, it is no. Okay. For rest of the columns, it is yes. And what are the different keys that we have defined within this table? There is only one primary key that was defined for employee ID column. Do we have any default values for any of the columns? No. Any extra information? No. So describe table name will give you the complete information about the table. Right. Next to it, we have the insert command. Okay. Let me try to insert the employee details. Okay. Here we are trying to insert the employee details. Now tell me, will this query get execute or will it throw any error? I am trying to insert a record into employees table. Will this be accepted or will it get rejected? This particular query will be rejected. Why? I already have a person whose employee ID is 3. And now if you observe, I'm trying to insert one more employee whose employee ID is 3. So since the employee ID is same, it will not allow us to insert. See, duplicate entry. A duplicate was identified. Duplicate entry 3 for key employees primary. Because of primary key column defined for employee ID, it is not allowing us to insert this record for employee table. No. Then, in the same way, let us try to insert one more record in which I am trying to insert a null value for employee ID. What about this query, guys? Will it get accepted or will it throw any error? This one will get rejected. Why? Because you cannot have null values part of your primary key column. Primary key means unique and not null. Right? So this is not accepted. That is where, you get error again. Done. So primary key is very simple. Yes. Now let us go to the next constraint. It is composite primary key. What is composite primary key? I hope you are aware of composite materials. What are composite materials? A material which is a combination of multiple materials is called composite material. Yes. In the same way, we are trying to form a composite primary key by using two or more columns. If you define primary key on one column, it will become a primary key. That is what we have understood so far. If you are trying to define this primary key on two or more than two columns, it becomes a composite primary key. Okay, and this composite primary key is identified uniquely together. Okay, when you are defining this primary key on two columns at a time, the combination of the two columns will be identified uniquely. Okay, what are the key important points that we have here? A table can have only one primary key. Yes, but this primary key can be defined on multiple columns. When you define it on multiple columns, it is called composite primary key. It is called composite primary key. Then the combination of all these values among the columns should be unique. Yes. And moreover, neither of these columns can have null values. Okay, if you are defining the composite primary key for two columns by using two columns, neither of these two columns can have null values. Not accepted. How can you define composite primary key? Here is the syntax. Column 1, column 2, and I am defining primary key on two columns. This becomes a composite primary key. Why? How is this primary key defined? It is defined on two columns. When you are defining on two or more than two, it is called composite primary key. Let us go and create a composite primary key. I'll take an example. Excuse me. What are we doing? I'm creating a table called order details. Okay. So within this order details table, we have order ID, product ID, quantity and price. Done. And I'm defining my primary key on two different columns. Order ID, product ID. So the combination of these two should be unique. Order ID, product ID should be unique, and neither of these two columns can have null values. So don't assume that we have two primary keys. No. Here in this case it is called composite primary key. Why? Your primary key is getting defined on two columns. Order ID, product ID. Clear? Now let me insert some records. I'm inserting a few records into the table. Order details. Done. Yes, I'm inserting the records. Am I passing any records to price? No. I'm not passing any values to price. I'm just passing the values to order ID, product ID and quantity. That's it. So let me insert the values, guys. Done? Yes. So now if you observe properly, the combination should not be repeated. The combination of order ID and product ID should not be repeated. If it is repeated, it will not accept. Okay. Now, let me insert other records. See, will this query will execute? No. Why? I already have the combination of order ID and product ID, that is 1 and 101, existing in the table. It is already available in the table. Would you like to have a quick look? See, 1101. So I cannot go back. So the combination should be unique. When you try to insert the same combination, it will throw you an error stating the duplicate entry. You are violating the rule of primary key, composite primary key, which is not accepted. Fine. Let me try inserting one more record. Will this get executed, guys? What do you see? What about this query? Will it get executed? No. Why? Even though if this combination is not available, why this query will not get executed? The reason behind it is, as we know, the composite primary key was defined on order ID and product ID. None of these columns can have null values. None of them can have null values. And what we are doing here, we are trying to store null value for product ID. So this will also throw an error. See, product ID cannot be null. You are against the rules of composite primary key. That is why it has thrown us error. Done. So we are done with primary key. The next key that we have is foreign key. What is the purpose of foreign key? Primary key means it's a combination of unique and not null. Clear? What about foreign key? Foreign key is defined on a column which help us to establish the relationship. This is the important point. It helps us to establish the relationship between two tables. If you take two different tables and if you would like to establish the relationship, that can be done using foreign key only. How? The foreign key of one column, the foreign key of one table will be linked with the primary key of other table. That is how the relationship gets established between the tables. How many foreign keys can we have in a table? You can have multiple foreign keys. You can have multiple foreign keys. But how many primary keys? Only one primary key. Clear? So here is the syntax for defining a foreign key. Okay. The syntax tells us that the same way creating the table, when you are creating it, foreign key will be defined like this, guys. Foreign key on the column references the other table primary key column. This is how, it established the relation between the two tables. What is the purpose of foreign key? To establish the relationship between the tables. Okay. So let me go with an example. I'll create a table. The name of the table is departments. Try to understand. The name of the table is departments. So within this departments table, we have a primary key column. What is the department ID? Can we have department ID? Primary key defined for department ID? Yes. Accepted. So department ID column cannot have null values and all of the values should be unique. Yes, the departments table got created. Now, let me insert some records into this table departments. Okay, so I'm going to insert the records into departments, the table departments. Okay, so will this query get executed? Yes, obviously, because all of the values that we are trying to insert into departments, department ID column, all of them are not null and they are unique. So this is accepted. Done? Yes. Now, let me go and create one more table name. What is the other table that I would like to create? Employees 1. I would like to create the other table. It is employees 1. But here, if you observe, within the employees 1 table, we have employee ID for which we have given primary key. We define primary key for employee ID column. And the next other columns are first name, last name, and department ID. Done. For this department ID, which is present in the employees 1 table, I am going to define foreign key. What am I defining? I am defining foreign key on department ID, which will reference the, primary key of departments. What is the primary key of departments table? It is department ID. Okay. So that is what we have, mentioned in this query. The foreign key of employees table, employees one table, okay, was defined on department ID table, which will reference the department ID column of departments table. This department ID column is nothing but the primary key column of departments table. Okay, so that is where both departments and employees one table will have a connection. It will establish a relationship between employees one and departments table. Right? That is the purpose of foreign key. So let me do it, guys. Done. I have created employees one table as well. We have created employees one table as well. Done. I'll go and insert the records into employees one table. We have some records of the employees and we are inserting all of them into the employees one table. Will this get accepted? Yes. Yes. Employee IDs, all of them are unique and not null. And department IDs are also, as they are referring to department ID of departments table, they are already existing, accepted. So when you try to insert, it will get executed. It will not throw any error. Right? But now, when I try to insert another record, I am trying to insert the other record in which I have the employee ID and some other department ID. See, I am trying to insert one more record into employees one table, okay, in which the employee ID is unique. The employee ID is unique and not null. Fine. But what about department ID? It is 10. What do you mean by 10? Assume that 10 is also a department ID. But this department ID is referencing to the department's ID of departments table? Yes. Do you have 10 as department ID in departments table? No. As you don't have such kind of department ID in departments table, when you try to insert such kind of value here, it will throw you an error. Why? This is because of the relationship between, it has already established the connection, the relation between employees one and departments table. So it will not accept for inserting the record. Clear? Yes. Now, what am I trying to do next to it? I'm trying to delete. I'm trying to delete. What I'm trying to delete? First of all, delete from table name, which means departments. From the departments table, I'm going to delete one record. Which record is it? Department ID is equals to 1. Where the department ID is 1, that record I want to delete. What do you think? Will this get executed? No. Why? Because we have the connection. As we already have the connection and there is an employee within the employees one table where the department ID is 1. John. John is the person, is the employee whose department ID is 1. Okay. Even though if you try to delete from the parent table, it will not accept for deletion. Right? Next to foreign key, we have unique key, guys. What does this unique key does? Unique key, it actually helps us to have the unique values in a column. within one particular column, you can have only unique values. That is the purpose of unique key. When you use unique key, it will allow you to have only the unique values within the column. And how many unique keys can we have in a table? You can have multiple unique keys. Will it allows null values? Yes, it allows null values. But all the values should be unique. Okay, so here is an example. Let us go and create the table. What is the table that I'm going to create here? Users. Users is the table in which I'm going to create. Okay, so what are the different columns? User ID. So for user ID, I'm defining the primary key. Done. So that means user ID column values should be unique and not null. For username, I have defined unique key. I have defined unique key, which means all the values of username should be unique. Can we have null values for username? Yes, accepted. Accepted. But the value should be unique. If they are not null, they have to be unique. Let us create. Done. Let us quickly refresh. Yes, the table users got created in the store inventory database. It got created. Now, I'll start inserting the records one by one. Okay, using insert command, I'm going to insert the records. See, will this query execute? Yes. Why? If you take user ID, all the values are unique and not null. So they are obeying the rules of primary key. Then coming to username, all of them are unique. Yes, they are unique. So this is accepted. Okay. So when you execute, it will allow us to insert the records. Done. Now, let me try inserting other values, other records. Okay. So what do you observe here? Will this query get executed? Yes or no? This query will not execute. Why? I already have this employee called John. Right? So as I already have him, the user name was already existing, and since you are trying to repeat the same username where we have defined the unique key, this will not execute. It will throw us error. See? But what if I pass a null value for a username? Will it accept? Yes, it will accept. Nulls are allowed. Only it does not allow duplicates. Right? Can you also define composite unique key? Simple, like how you have defined composite primary key. In the same way, we can go and create composite unique key. Okay, the combination should be unique. See, here I am going to create a composite unique key where I am going to create a table called orders 1. I am going to create a table called orders 1. So to which column we have defined primary key? Order ID. Then unique key I am defining as a composite unique key. Okay. To which columns are we going to define it? Product ID, customer ID. Okay. So I have just kept as constraint unique order, and I'm defining the unique key, product ID and customer ID. Okay. So the combination should be unique. Let me create the table. Done. The table got created, orders one got created. Now, I'll start inserting the records using insert command. I'll go and insert the records. So is this accepted? Yes, it is. Why? Because for primary key, that means order ID, all of them are unique and not null. Then coming to product ID and customer ID, yes, all of them are unique. The combination is unique. Yes, the combination is unique. It's not repeated. So this will be accepted. The records, the rows got inserted. Now, let me try inserting one more record into the table. You tell me, will this get inserted or not? Will this record get inserted or not? Yes or no? No. Why? It is not because of primary key. It is because of unique key, composite unique key, which we have defined for product ID and customer ID. Already I have the combination 101, 201. Again, I am trying to insert a record with the same combination, which is not accepted. Right? Yes. Next to unique, we have not null guys. Next to unique, we have not null. What does this not null constraint does? This not null constraint ensures that a column cannot have null values. A column cannot store null values. Okay. So how many not null constraints can we define? You can define n number of not null constraints. Okay. For multiple columns, you can go and define not null constraint. Okay. So let us go and create a table using not null constraint. I'm going to create a table called students. Okay. So this students table, if you observe, primary key was defined for student ID and not null constraint we have defined for three different columns. First name, email, enrollment date. That means for these three columns, it does not allow null values to store. You have to pass, non-null values. If you try to store null values, it will raise exception. Let me execute it. Done. I have created the table students. Now, let me start inserting the records. I'll start inserting the records one by one. Yes. So in the first example, where I'm trying to insert the records, a record, okay. So will it execute? Yes, it will. Why? Because I am trying to insert all the values for all the columns. So this will execute. What about the second insert command? Student ID, fine, but I don't see first name. Where we are not passing any name for a value for the first name. So when you try to execute this, this will raise exception. The reason being, we are not passing any value for first name, and for first name we have not null constraint, which does not allow null values to store. So see, field first name does not have a default value. You did not at least come up with a default constraint also. Okay. So that is the reason it has raised an exception. Here, in the third case, we are missing out the email, which is also not accepted, because for email column also we have the not null constraint. So it will raise an exception. Clear? Then next to not null, we have default constraint guys. What is the next constraint? Default constraint. What does this default constraint does? The default constraint help us to, assign the default value to a column. To the column, it is going to assign the default value when you don't pass any value during insertion. During the insert command, if you are not providing any value for the column, by default, it will consider the default value for this column which has the default constraint. And how many default constraints can be defined for the columns? You can have multiple columns with the default constraint. Okay. And what are the features that comes for the default constraint? By default, the value will be assigned, even though if the no value is specified. It helps us to avoid the null values. Null values are not accepted. Okay. Let us create a table. As an example, I'm going to create employees to table. Let's see what happens here. I'm creating a table employees to. Okay. Current date is not accepted. Let me check. Okay. Date and the default. If not, let me remove the default one. Yes. See what I'm trying to do here. For department and salary column, we have defined the default constraint. So even though if you don't pass any value for the department and salary column, by default it takes general and 50,000 for the salary column as the default values. Okay. See, it got created. The employees to table got created. Yes. Now, when you try to insert the values, see what I'm trying to do here. Let me insert the values to the table employees to and see what happens. I should also include hire date as we have removed the default constraint for hire date. Let us include them. It's 2025. Then month is 0903. I'm going with today's date, guys. Okay. So let me execute this. Am I passing any values for department and salary? No. But still, you know, 2013. Okay. There might be an issue. Let me reduce it to 2000. Might be the range is less. No. Anyways, you know, what we are trying to understand here is the default value, guys. Even though if you don't pass any value for the department and salary column, the default values like general and 50,000 will be considered for, both these columns as the default values. Okay. You cannot get null values. Because of this default constraint, you cannot have null values for these columns. Right? See, even here. What if you pass the values for the columns? Whatever the values that you pass, those values will be considered. If you don't pass, the default values will be considered. Okay? Anyways, let us go to the last constraint. It is check. What does check constraint does? Check constraint, it helps us to insert the values. Okay, it is a constraint which helps us to have the values only based on a specific condition. So before inserting or updating the values, you can come up with a specific condition, and only if this condition is met, the values get inserted or updated. Who actually help us to do it? The check constraint. Okay, so this check constraint will actually checks for the condition. If the condition is met, then it goes for the insertion or updation, whatever it might be. And how many check constraints can we have in a table? You can have multiple check constraints, right? So let us take some examples. Okay, so here is an example for check constraint. Let me create this table called employees 3. Okay, I'm going to create the table employees 3. And what are the different columns that we have in employees 3? Employee ID, name, age, salary, and department. Yes. For employee ID, we have defined primary key. For name, we have defined not null constraint. For age, we have come up with check constraint. Only if the age is greater than or equals to 18, only then it allows us to have the records inserted. Only if this condition is met, it allows to insert the records. In the same way, if the salary is greater than 0, only then it allows us to insert the records, because salaries cannot be less than 0, right? A non-negative number for salary is impossible. And for age, it's mandatory that you have to complete at least 18 years. So that is the reason we have come with two conditions, and we added two check constraints for the table employees 3. And I'm going to create the table employees 3. Done. Now I'll start inserting the records. See, here are two examples. I'll insert the records in which, in the first insert command, what do you observe? Yes, age is greater than 18. This is accepted. Salary is also greater than 0. This is also accepted. So that is where, when you try to insert this command, this record, it executes. Let me refresh. Employees 3, right? See, the first record got inserted. Now let me go to the second command, the second insert command. What am I trying to do here? I'm inserting a record, but if you observe, what is the age? Is it greater than 18? No. The condition is not met, guys. If the condition is not met, it will throw us an error. It will not allow us to insert the command. Insert the record. Okay. Even though salary is greater than 0, this condition is met. But the condition that we have for age is not met. Right. So that is where it raises an exception, and it does not allow us to insert the values into the employees table. This is employees 3. Right. So let me try to execute. You see, check constraint is violated. It is violating the check constraint. Because of this, it is not allowing us to insert the records. So that is the purpose of check constraint. Only if the condition, the specific condition is met, it helps us to insert or update the values. Okay. And how many check constraints can we have in a table? You can have multiple check constraints. So this is all about the constraints topic, in which we have learned primary key, composite primary key, then foreign key, unique key, composite unique key, not null key, not null constraint, default constraint, and check constraint. So all these are part of constraints. Constraints are nothing but some rules that we define for the columns. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions. And if no questions, if you have enjoyed the session, do hit on the like button. Encourage us, as we are going to come up with some amazing content in the upcoming days. Do encourage us by hitting on the like button. And also share across your connections. Ask your connections to join these sessions. Ask them to learn SQL, because we are almost coming to the end of this particular program, right? Yep. Any questions? Feedback link has been posted. Give your valuable feedback before you leave, and ensure that you have subscribed to our channel, guys. Thank you so much.